Right. Um, so I still having a few issues in the engine bay. I so that's the original oil cooler and the sensor inside it. I've tried to replicate that 4 times. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and then that's my fourth cooler. I'm not tapping it into there. Obviously, I've just gone through 4 coolers. So my other options are I found a hose adapter which isn't quite long enough for the sensor to go into, which I'm hoping to put in line with the in the oil cooler hose. But I've just ordered an extension adapter for that to go into. If that doesn't work, I've always got an option. I had a sump plug which I've tapped the sensor into. That's my final option. I don't really want to do that because it just makes it a pain in the backside when you've got to drain the oil and stuff. So yeah, I'm still waiting for that. Well, I'm still trying to sort that out. There's other bits and pieces I'm waiting for or can't do until I've done that. So I'm just going to leave that now, and I'm going to get the doors on, windows in, get all the bits on the doors, all the handles done, get the sunroof in because that's now all ready to be put back. Then I've got to torque up all the bits and pieces everywhere. I've changed the brake cylinders on the rears because the ERA ones are different. I kind of knew that, but I forgot about it, so that's now done. I've rebled the brakes, so I'm probably a day away from dropping it onto wheels. So I might do that next weekend. Depends how I get on with other stuff. Interior, I'm waiting for the dials. They've all been sent off for a refurb. Some to video. One of them's a Smith gauge, so that's been sent to someone who does Smith gauges. I've got the carpets, so they can all start going in. The windscreen may be coming out again. Just seems it was a pain to get in, and it just seems like it's not in enough. Although it's all completely sealed, it just seems like it's poking out a bit too much. So there's a good chance I'm going to whip that out again. Maybe trim the scuttle with the aperture just to give me a little bit more. It was really tight. You would have seen by one of the videos. Yeah, I'm not overly happy with that, so more than likely going to pop that out. I think the measurement was 410, between 410 and 415, can't remember, but it was there or thereabouts. But that was really tight to get in, and so that it just looks like it's sitting outwards where it should be. That's flat and that ain't. So yeah, I've got a spare screen just in case. It is a heated screen, but hopefully it won't get damaged. So yeah, I'm going to get on with the doors. I've got the hinges to go on, handles. That's obviously the new door. So I've got to take the glass and that out of the old door, put it all in there, but I'll do that once it's hung. Obviously the old passenger door is existing, so that just needs hanging. All the furniture, door locks and latches need going on that. I've prepared the side opening windows, used some auto sold, cleaned up all the chrome. I had to change one of the catches because it was too far gone with rust, but they've come up really well, so I'll get them in hopefully today. Yeah, so getting there. Just there's so many bits in here though that I just want to make sure they're right. And then once I've got all the bits, then I'll just put everything back together, get it all cleaned up, and then we're almost ready to fire up. Dash, I've got everything. The only thing I can't fit, I haven't got door cards because the cloth I need for the door cards comes from Italy. Obviously went into lockdown, so Optimize haven't got that. And the rear quarter door or cards, I haven't got them either because they're the same material. So I can't really put the bins, the rear bins in, or the rear seats. So that's kind of delaying me a bit on the interior. But I can get most of it in. So, and I may just buy some door cards and stuff for now, just as a temporary, because I don't know when the stuff from Italy is coming. So.
Hey mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back to part 33 of the Project ERA build, and I hope you're all well. So good introduction and description from Mark there. And as you can see, he was having trouble with the oil cooler. That will come in the next update, so we'll cover that off in a little bit more detail. But it is at that stage of the build where everything going back together just takes 2 or 3 times longer than you think it's going to take. It does get slightly frustrating, and I've mentioned this in the past. So I had my 10-minute-ish interview with Alex Hart, the DJSE. One of the questions he asked me was, how do you make the decision whether to refurbish a part or replace it? Obviously with the build Mark's doing on the ERA, he wants to replace as many parts as he can, and that does come with problems. And one of the reasons I choose to try and refurbish some parts is just because you know they're going to fit. If you've taken them off and they were working, in theory, if you refurbish them and put them back on, they'll go in the same position and they should still work. So as you've seen in last week's update with the problems Mark had with the radiator cowling, obviously if he'd used the old one, that would have already been shaped to fit. But I do agree with Mark's ethos on this car that it has done 265,000 miles, so there's a lot of sense in replacing the parts because they're just fatigued. So not all metal parts wear out as such, but they do get fatigue cracks in them. So like I say, my view, in an ideal world, refurbish the old parts, but sometimes the time it takes to refurbish parts and the cost once you've, primer, base coat, lacquer if they're body coloured parts, or just bits under the engine which you want to look nice. If you've sandblasted them then painted them, it can actually cost more than just going out and buying a replacement part, but it can save a lot of time when it comes to refitting bits. So I guess each to their own. So it's good to see Mark fitting up the doors and the boot, and again kind of getting the Mini to the point that it's sealed. And at the end of this video, Mark has the windscreen out again to really look at the aperture size. So me and Mark spoke about this quite a lot, so you'd have probably seen the problems I had with the windscreen on Project Sprout, which I put down to a number of things, including the rubber itself, but also on Project Sprout I measured 410 millimeters windscreen aperture, but having spoken to some people afterwards, they've mentioned that it's normally 415. So I took the measurement off Sprout when I stripped it apart, and I think, as Mark mentioned there, the ERA, I think he said was 415, but when he measures it later it's 410, so just not quite big enough. So although the screen's gone in, the rubber sits slightly proud. So you learn about these things as you go along, don't you? I'll have 415 ingrained in my mind forever, I think, now. Mark seems to be doing remarkably well in not scratching the car. He's spoken to him a few times. I don't think he's scratched anything yet. So he's doing well. And hopefully, fingers crossed. So obviously the videos are a few weeks behind where Mark is. Mark's not far off starting the engine up, and as this video goes out, so it's 20th of June, it's just working out whether I can go down there with Mark and help him start it, taking into account obviously social distancing. I don't know what the rules are now. They're not rules, they're guidance, aren't they? But I think you can go and meet someone outside of your own family. You can have one extra person in your social bubble or whatever it is, but obviously if you'd seen the previous videos, we don't exactly hold hands while we're down there. So hopefully I can get down and I can see the ERA and just be there, help Mark with the wiring and get it started. I know Mark has been struggling on his own just with these bits, especially like the wiring, because it's not Mark's area of expertise. It's not really mine either, but I know my way around a wiring loom. And something like the ERA is very complicated, so it'd be useful to go down there with a multimeter and some test equipment and just make sure it's all okay. The wiring all has been refurbished, but of course the wiring on an ERA is not the same as a standard Mini, so it's been refurbished, but it's then modified to fit an ERA Mini. So the doors should fit perfectly. Quite a few episodes now. Before it was painted, all the doors were gapped. They were hung with the regulators and everything in them to make sure they had the right weight and a bit of adjustment of fettling to get them to fit perfect. So you'd have seen Mark was quite cautious fitting the doors, putting masking tape around the edges, just to make sure if you do just bump it going in, you don't scratch or chip any of the new paintwork. I forgot to ask Mark, I was going to ask about the rear wiper motor. He said it was off another car, but he couldn't remember. But I'll try and let you know in the next episode. Unless anyone knows, leave a comment down below. Do you know what the ERA rear wiper motor come off? Because obviously they won't have produced a part just for the ERA Minis. I'm sure it would have come off something out the Rover parts bin. So it might have been, I'm trying to think of cars at that time, so it might have been a Rover Metro rear wiper motor or something like that, because they had rear wipers on them. Mark's just adjusting the strikers on the door there to get the door to close right. I always think that's a sign of a good rebuild, that is. Someone that had their car rebuilt or painted, first thing you sort of do is look at the door gaps, then maybe the wing gaps and scuttle gaps, but yeah, the door gaps really make the difference between someone that's taken their time and done it all properly as opposed to, you know, a quick job. It's a topic often discussed around how much does it cost to respray my Mini, or a question regularly asked, and it varies a huge amount. From, I've heard people being quoted £800 to £1,000, right up to £5,000. You generally get what you pay for, but you can almost guarantee if someone's quoting less than £1,500 for a full body respray, it's going to be rushed, or it's not going to be done to what I would call show car standard. But that might suit you. Like I say, it's down to people's personal preferences and budgets, I guess. So ERA sunroof going back in there. I would be really interested to know, actually, because one of the old ERAs I had a broken sunroof glass, and I tried for years to get a replacement glass, and I was desperately trying to find out what other car that sunroof was fitted to, and I can't remember who the sunroof is made by now, but I remember all the Rovers of the time never had that type of sunroof in it, so I don't know where ERA got them. In the end, I ended up having a Perspex. I ended up having a sunroof glass made out of Perspex in the same shape and put in, which was not ideal, but it done the job and kept the car watertight. So if you know where the sunroof come from, it'd be interesting to know. Just looking at mini shows now, obviously, so just looking forward rather than backwards for once, and I'm just wondering when the next mini show is. If you go in, or if you know, let me know, because I'd love to go.
Alright, so I had to take the screen out. I did have to take it out in the end. It wasn't, the rubber was sitting out, or the screen was sitting outwards a bit, so I took the screen out, measured the aperture, and it was only 410. It needs to be minimum 415, so I had to take the top dash rail, top dash out, grind it all back, give it a touch up, put the rubber in, and now fingers crossed it's going to fit properly. So I'm just going to get on with that now.
So when I watched this back, it looked like Mark was having a lot of the same problems I was having with sprouting, just getting the windscreen in the bottom of the rubber. It almost felt like the windscreen was the wrong shape, but for me, on Sprout, it was definitely mostly about the rubber. But I just see Mark having the same sort of problems I did. But Mark has far more patience than me. I couldn't have my wife in the garage while I was doing that. So I take my hat off to you, Mark. And again, Lucy doing a great job really getting stuck in. I definitely think Mark needs to buy her own ERA now. But he's got there in the end. Windscreen fillet and strip going in, that's the easy bit, that's the satisfying bit, putting that in. And I noticed he's put the join round the top now, because I think he had it round the bottom before. I did comment on it, or was that the rear screen? Can't remember.
Looks much better. Absolutely perfect now. And for my next trick, I'm going to take 5 hours to put a bonnet on, maybe. Jesus. Cannot believe that took so long. Still tight. Once it's in there, obviously, but it's sitting at the right angle now. It's sitting in the recess. But, wow. 8 minutes, you say, Keith? I don't know how you did that. No idea how you did that.
I'm going to have to prove myself now and film it in normal time next time I have Sprout screen out, aren't I?
And it's hot.